Well, that was far from ideal, but hey, congrats to Alex Villanueva, I guess. Um, I don't know. We'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. I'm just happy it's still September and not November. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, at one time the podcast of champions. Thanks for being here. I'm sure after Saturday night's result, you're probably not loving it. But hey, we're still going to talk footy, and we still have things to look forward to and fun people to talk to nonetheless. Let's get right into it because, no one ever really wants to listen to me speak. Brad, how are things going? Welcome back.
Oh, man, we may have had a horrible result on the soccer pitch, but football's back, and boy, does it feel good to have American football to go with my world football.
I already don't approve, and whatever. Let's jump even further east than Las Vegas and welcome on Tyler. Tyler, all the way from Lexington. Thank you for joining us here.
I just got to correct you first. We are obviously in the West. No, I'm glad to be here, though, for real. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
We could do this all night. I can you could just watch my face turn red. I don't. Let's be real. I'm gonna lose it. And then we have one more special guest joining us tonight. Oh, look, it's this guy. He's back. Ray Smora. I'm glad I don't have to say the dumbest things on the show each and every week. Welcome back to the podcast of champions.
Yeah. I'm disappointed. I'm gone for a month or so, and I'm really loud. Okay, let's go lower. Is that better? That's right.
Better. Let's just keep going, just all the way.
Season 4.
Yeah.
You want to just go all the way down in my volume, Dylan? I'm going to say this. I'm disappointed because you're like, once the podcast of champions. I'm going to ask our other guest here, since I guess I'm a special guest, Tyler. Once you get that star, it's permanent, right? You're permanently labeled a champion, right, Tyler?
Forever and always. It's in the history books at that point.
Forever and always, Dylan. So you got to get that right. It's not the one-time podcast of champions. We are still the show of champions here in the Orange and Black Soccer Cast. And I just somehow popped in here. I didn't know. I thought I was logging into the Spurs show or something, but I found out I was with you guys. So I will just do this for the next 50 minutes or so.
It's hip to clip, didn't you?
It's hip to clip. Hey, that's my original podcast that I started doing all this with. But Tyler's like, what the heck did I sign up for? We got to get into the soccer talk, the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, and upcoming match. We're going to do reverse order today because Tyler is joining us from the East Coast. So we want to respect Tyler's time and swap it. So we're going to talk about the upcoming match. Then we'll go back and talk about what happened this past weekend, which I'm sure we all have some stuff to talk about. So let's get into this. Dylan, I don't know. Do you want to keep handling this with me? I'll be the special guest as you announce me, since that's what it seems like I am today. Go for it, Dylan.
No, buddy. It's your world. We're all just living in it.
Well, let's do this. Let's get into this. We got an upcoming match this weekend for Orange County Soccer Club, looking to rebound after a tough road match in Detroit, and another tough upcoming match here. It's a road match, right? I didn't even do my homework. This is the way this show works. We're playing in Kentucky, right?
You are. Yeah.
We are. So
proud of you, Ray.
A match in Detroit. I'm assuming they all come home. Then they got to fly back out to Kentucky, which is probably not an easy flight from Orange County to Kentucky. I'm sure there's not many direct flights to get into Lexington from our neck of the woods. Tyler, give us the lowdown. Give us the info on how things are going for your team out there in Kentucky, Lexington, to be exact. And I believe we met earlier this season. Things have probably changed much since then, right?
A whole lot. Early in the season, there were a lot of struggles. We definitely were taking our lumps, being our first year in the championship, and things were not smooth sailing. but now things have kind of righted the ship. So, everything's feeling good at the moment. Our team looks very different from when we faced you all last. I know we had that 2-2 draw. It was a little bit dramatic. We had the crazy last minute goal to kind of seal that up. But yeah, now we have I think 4 or 5 players that were in that starting lineup that either are no longer with the club or have kind of fallen to the wayside. And we have a little bit of a different look so far. But it's kind of changing week to week, honestly. Currently, we're battling a few different injuries for some of our starters that we had kind of had established. But, everybody who slipped in has done good. We're still waiting to see Latif Blessing, who we signed, big name that we brought in. He's been around for a few weeks, but has yet to be in the 18. So there's a little bit of mystery around that, if he's going to make an appearance Friday or not. We're all hoping so, because everybody in Lexington's really excited to see what he's got going on. But on the whole, it's a brand new team, honestly, from what you guys faced at the beginning of the season, which a lot of teams could say that. So there's some mystery for this matchup in my mind.
Yeah, the interesting way of the USL Championship, right, is it's in that off calendar compared to most of the rest of the world. So when you have some of these mid-season additions or subtractions, which Orange County has experienced with Kyle Scott heading out back across the pond to England, new players coming in, it makes a interesting thing, especially when 2 teams met very early on in the season. It's a very different picture. Orange County has sort of evolved over the season, except for the last couple matches. Their defense was starting to show signs of some greatness. And then I guess 8 goals in the last 2 matches is not what you want heading into a match like this. What's the biggest change that you have seen that has sparked Lexington's run to top 4 in the West? What would you base that off of if you could pick one thing?
I think a lot of it is just finalizing our identity as a team. I think all of the switching in and out of players that we've done, either releasing them or loaning them to other clubs and then bringing in new talent. And then a couple players grabbing opportunities when they presented themselves. For instance, Brooks Thompson is now in goal as our goalkeeper 1. When we faced you guys, it was Logan Ketterer. So he's kind of fallen into that secondary role. I think that we've just found our footing, because whenever we play with this identity that we found about mid-season, it seems like we find success, which tends to be high press, high attack, very intense. And kind of the crazy thing about our squad is we can uphold that intensity for a pretty large chunk of the match. And I think it's because of who we have waiting in the wings when our 18 is established. So, again, kind of our big question mark right now is we had a stretch of games where it was okay, this is our 11. This is who we're going to see regularly. People picked up knocks, and now all of a sudden we're wait a second, we're seeing a little bit of a shift in our 11. Braulio Rodriguez, he actually scored whenever we played against you guys last, but he hadn't appeared in several matches. For a bit it was because of injury. For a while it was maybe just other people seized opportunities, but now here the last couple games he's been a focal piece. He might be back in the mix again, but I think just the identity is the biggest thing. If I had to really pinpoint a player that's made a huge impact for us, Michael Adedikin has found his stride. We ended up extending his contract because he's just really found his footing with us. And then honestly, I think that change up in goalkeeper has been big for us too. I think we found a lot of success with Brooks Thompson in the net, so I'm hoping we can continue that.
One just sort of weird random question. As you were speaking, I was looking through sort of the schedule and how things have been going so far for your team. And there's an unusual number, at least, compared to what we're used to here in Orange County, an unusual number of Friday night matches for you all. Do you see that as a benefit since your team is sort of used to sort of that weird schedule? Because obviously we've talked about this in the show in the past. I know it's been a while since I've been here talking about this. Players are creatures of habit. They like to have consistency. Mm-hmm. They like to have their training week to go a certain day that they're doing everything. The travel's a certain day, things like that. A Friday night match throws that off a little bit. Lexington has had quite a few of those matches, both home and on the road. Do you see that as an advantage for your team, or am I just overplaying that whole thought process?
It's hard to say if it's an advantage in itself, I do think it's been advantageous for us. The simple fact that we don't really have any midweek matchups that we participated in that are league matchups anyway. Of course, other competitions we've had the stray random game middle of the week, but I think it's helped us with consistency that we can always pretty much count on Friday or Saturday being our game day. So you don't really have to change things up too much. And I mean, frankly, that's been a pretty good stretch of time that we've been able to count on that. So I think that alone has been nice because it's helped reduce a little bit of that wear and tear. Because I think, there for a bit, even now, we're still dealing with a little bit of it. All the intense travel out to the West Coast. We had this ridiculous away stretch where we'd go to the West Coast, back to the East Coast, back to the West Coast, back to the East Coast. And then all of that was away. And then we had to come play at home. And I think finally now it's leveled out just enough where us maybe having a game day just one day earlier isn't really hurting us. I don't know if it's been an advantage per se, but I don't think it's been a detriment, if that makes sense.
Well, it does, as much as I hate it, because some of us will be working on Friday at 3 p.m. when kickoff is happening. This is unfair
That's
to me.
True.
So
I hate that.
That's East Coast bias for you, everybody.
Right.
Tyler, Lexington, I think, league-wide, definitely the West, is the most informed team right now. Can you run us through the last 5 matches and really what, maybe not match by match, but what have been 2 or 3 standout things that have been the reason for 4 wins and 1 loss in that time?
Yeah, I think, whenever we're looking at our most recent run of form, I mean, we stumbled a bit against Las Vegas a couple matches ago. That was not great how that worked out with our really just bogus own goal. It was frankly just a tough pill to swallow that happened. But I think for us, it's just been really encouraging to see how much we've been able to produce as far as our goal scoring has been concerned. I mean, a lot of matches we end up with at least a couple. It seems like our average is really high recently. If you look at it season wide, not so great, but as of recent, we're almost guaranteed to get a couple of goals to our name, at least every other match or so. That's been really, really good. I think something that's slept on a little bit, even amongst our fan base, is how good our defense has been. Not saying that we haven't let in goals. That has happened, but I do feel like they've managed to carry through the entire game. And honestly, if anybody's not familiar with Lexington, the past couple years in League One, that was not our MO. We would hold teams off until like the 80th minute, and then we would just kind of shut down. And there would come goals, we'd lose or tie or whatever. And I think right now we're doing a really good job of putting in a complete performance and keeping the intensity all the way through stoppage time, which has helped us secure a lot of these results. Aside from that, I do feel like we've been really prepared for a lot of teams. We faced a variety of teams with a variety of styles. And I think that it's shown that we've kind of tweaked things, including our own style, to make sure it matches whatever they have to offer. So, for instance, our most recent game against NCFC, they came at us with a crazy press, like right out of the gate. And that's usually kind of our deal. And instead of us just trying to go, punch for punch, do the same to them, we sat back and absorbed a ton of that. By the time they started getting tired out, then we sprung, and then we were putting all the pressure on them. And I think we found success doing that. So I think tactically we've been really smooth in a lot of areas. Not to say there aren't stumbles here and there, but I think it's been really encouraging to see that stuff.
We are definitely familiar with Lexington's ability to play into stoppage time, obviously, from our second match of the season.
Right.
In terms of formation, how is Lexington typically setting up?
So in general, we run like a 4-2-3-1, but all the time we're seeing like little tweaks and changes. Honestly, like for instance, I mentioned Adedekan, like he tends to play out on the wing. Sometimes in games he'll tuck in and he almost plays almost as like kind of a paired striker with, either Corey Burke or, Forster Ajago. And then we have somebody else sweep up into that space. And so we don't always play super symmetrical. And sometimes it's perfect, right? So I feel like we're really adaptive in that regard. So our formation kind of flows in an interesting way depending on our opponent. You'll see a lot of things, obviously, with like our wingbacks. somebody will push up and then we kind of play with a back three when we're on the attack. A lot of times Joe Hafferty's the guy that does a lot of that. Kieran Sargent earlier in the season handled a lot of that business. Now he's been a little bit more defensive, but he has plenty of ability to do that. He's one of our young, I think, superstars that really could be a game changer and is really good at that supporting role. So running that formation that we have with the personnel that we have allows us to be pretty fluid a lot throughout the match. So I think it'll be interesting to see kind of how that iteration comes to pass whenever we face off with you guys.
Okay. Just to double check / confirm with you, Joe Hafferty is your right back?
Yes. Yeah. And Kieran Sargent's going to be our left. Yep.
I mostly ask because probably I'm going to catch flack for this, but our best or most defensive left back is hopefully back from national team duty. Oh, well. Tyler, one kind of final question for you. OC alum Sofian Jafal, how has his 2025 season gone out in Lexington?
Personally, I feel like he's been pretty integral to our success. The way that he's helped us control the midfield has been huge. I really enjoy how versatile he is, how great he is helping defensively, but also more than willing to get up in the attack, and he's pretty ferocious when he is. Now, problem being that he's been out for a little bit. Seemed like he had a little bit of an injury. He was walking around in a boot for a couple of weeks. It looked like he's out of the boot, but I have no idea his playing status. So in the meantime, Speedy Williams has kind of taken that mantle. He's kind of come into the mix. Everybody thought that Speedy Williams would be like auto lock starter for the season, and that's who would kind of carry us through as our rock. He kind of fell by the wayside, but now that Sophie has been out, he's come in and done a phenomenal job. But honestly, I think everybody that we have out there is doing great, but I am anxious to see Sophie back just for us to have that extra set of hands that can contribute, because I think that he's been pretty invaluable to us.
Before I hand you off to Brad, I almost want to laugh about the fact that seemingly Lexington signed every 2019 hot USL play. Like Marcus Epps is playing, Speedy Williams is in, like just all these guys that were tearing the league up 5-6 years ago are now all here in Lexington, all making it happen. They're still somehow around.
A lot of familiar names there. Even when you talk about Latif Blessing, who's you mentioned recently signed. I mean, that's a well-known name to people here in Southern California. All the names you were dropping, I'm like, whoa, wait, I know that name. Oh, that name, and then obviously Josh Sargent's brother. You're calling out names. So man, you all got pedigree there in Lexington.
We do have a lot of exciting players.
Good for you. I mean, we do too, to be honest. But I just think of you as an Eastern team because Lexington's not in the West. Brad, take it away, bud.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Happy to do so. You guys just started off your USL championship early this year, and one of your first games of the year was a trip down to Orange County. How has it been, since then? How is the new and quote-unquote improved experience being in the USL Championship been compared to USL League One? Because you guys are in the position where not many clubs get to say they've been in both.
Yeah, it's definitely weird, like frankly. From a content creator standpoint, it's strange, because my experience is different than a lot of other fans, because USL 1's so much smaller, so much more close and tight knit, and everybody kind of knows everybody and knows what's going on, and then you're kind of in tune with every single game because there's not that many to watch. And so you go into the championship, and something that a lot of fans have mentioned, I can't keep track. I can't keep track of who's doing what and who we should watch out for and what's going on with them, because there's just so much soccer happening. And I think that it's been kind of an interesting element too, having conferences, whereas USL 1, it's just you play whoever and you hope you can get up some wins. And now we've got conferences and we're kind of battling through that. And, of course, that's been a whole point of conversation amongst the fan base, us being in the West, and, the interesting factors going in with that. And then, everybody assuming we were going to come in and then face Louisville multiple times in league play because we would for sure be in the East. So it's just been kind of like a wild ride coming into the championship, and I think it's made it even more wild that we've done it with essentially a completely brand new team, because everybody that we had from last year or the year before is either gone or on loan. So we've kind of done it with a completely fresh squad. So that made it feel even more like brand new and just mysterious in some ways. Like, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? Because USL 1, honestly, our tenure in the league was not that great. Like the 2 years that we were in USL 1, we struggled a bit to find our footing. And, even with us doing an overhaul in year 2, it was really, really tough. And I think a lot of fans, whenever they saw us stumbling early on in the season in the championship, there's the group of fans that was like, okay, this makes sense. We're joining the championship. It's going to be new. It's going to be tough. But then there was the group of fans that was like, oh, no, not again. we can't do this again. We got to figure this out. And so I think now there's just a lot of excitement that we found our footing, that we're competitive. Obviously we're not running away with the West. It's tight, right? And you guys know that just as well as we do. It's kind of crazy how much parity there is. And, I think that that's adding a lot of excitement to us being where we are in year 1 in the season coming to a close. Only 7 games left for us, which is insane, honestly. And, we have all this excitement already, and it's only going to get more and more intense as we go. So I think it's been really awesome switch. I think everybody's real excited to be where we are. It's been great for our fan base. I think that it's helped us kind of explode, because we're absolutely blowing all of our previous records for attendance out of the water. Now we're like averaging around, I don't know, I think last time I saw it was like close to 4,000 a game, and a lot of them have gone much above that. So I think it's been really great for our city, honestly.
And I just want to jump on because Brad sort of led up a question here that I was leaning towards, and then I'll give it back to Brad. But obviously you've had that experience, and there's some, for those not familiar with East Coast compared to West Coast, there's a lot more proximity for teams and cities and stuff like that. So in the short time Lexington has been in both leagues, there's been some rivalries that have built up. And in League One, you had the rivalry with One Knoxville. Now you have the rivalry with Louisville. What your preference, and then maybe you can let us know fan-wise from what you've experienced, what's the favorite of those rivalry matches? And share with us the names of those rivalries for people that might not know.
Yeah, actually, honestly, to be upfront, it's option C. Option C. We actually really enjoyed a little bit of a rivalry that naturally evolved with Greenville. It was kind of out of nowhere. The rivalry with One Knox, it was fine. It was kind of a natural fit because obviously our teams are rivals in the collegiate world, right? So there was kind of like a built-in aspect to it. And of course, people would kind of get involved with that rivalry. It was not necessarily fun for Lexington fans because it was always a loss or draw for us both years. And so didn't really have like the vibes, although Greenville matches always were crazy. There was always some last minute ridiculous drama that was game changing and made the match exciting, made one fan base angry, made one fan base excited. It was just full of all the storylines. And we even had our own like villain out of it, Jamie Smith. He is that guy that always just seemed to come up big for Greenville against us and would try and like steal something away from us. But then we had a match where he had an own goal and then we ended up, winning that one. So it's really, really cool to see those natural rivalries grow. And, right now with Lou City, I think that one is really cool because it's a strange one, to be fair. It felt like it was going to be more contentious and fan bases being like, all right, this is real deal. We're going to kind of, get each other with some tense banter. But now it's kind of settled more. And I think that's because of us being in League One. A lot of Lou City fans were like, you know what? Why not? I'll cheer for Lexington. And a lot of Lexington fans were like, why not? I'll cheer for Louisville. Who cares? We're in different leagues. And now that we're back together, I think people found it really, really difficult to turn that switch off and be like, no, I hate that team. So whenever we hosted them most recently, it was actually really cool and the vibes were awesome. They might have come away with the win, but I feel like our fan bases had a lot of fun interacting with one another. And I think that for me, that was like the truest and purest rivalry you could ask for because it wasn't really a bad blood thing. It was just like we're going to give each other a little bit of a hard time, but we're all going to hang out and have a drink in the parking lot afterwards. So I think that one's been pretty cool.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and take back my control, and I think you set up a little bit of my next question pretty well. Speaking of, games that have last-minute, heartbreaking, one team super excited, the other team super sad. Mohamedou War at the begin in the 97th minute of our first meeting in March scored a really tap-in goal that was kind of a little lucky. That's not really so much of a question, but my question from, obviously our first game is what did the team learn? And from an outsider's perspective looking in, because we know and talk about our team, but what is from an outsider's perspective as my dog is talking in the background, can you give us like your scouting report for this upcoming game?
Yeah, I think what it comes down to as far as what we learned as a team is what I mentioned earlier, just the idea of like we have to close out games. We have to keep that intensity because we got stuck in a little bit of a rut. There were a series of games where we were just losing, or maybe we'd manage a tie, but it was always a tie that should have been a win, and we kind of let things slip. And, on our pod, we like to say that we were playing grandpa ball, where it was just like, let's be slow and methodical and see if we can just slowly march up the field and then we'll pick them apart. But it wasn't crisp. It wasn't ferocious enough. And, once we figured out like, okay, that's not how we're going to play. We need to play with intensity. Things switched up for us. And I think that we found the right formula to swap players in a way that we can keep that intensity going. And I think that will hopefully help stem the tide with us doing so much of that, giving up a late stage goal or, producing a loss, right? So I think that that's been one of our biggest wins, honestly. As far as, facing off against you guys again, I know we're all hoping for our team to win, but I hope that we continue our momentum with this. And I think that we have plenty of players that have proven themselves on the pitch. Nick Firmino, he's a player that's been asked to play all over the place, not necessarily in his natural position. And he's done a great job of doing that, but sometimes he gets a little bit overshadowed. And he just came off of a really great game. He earned Team of the Week. He had our game-winning goal, which, was a little lucky, but it was also, he was there, right place, right time, doing what he needed to do. And so I think that that's going to be a really big confidence booster for him. And I think that that's going to kind of help the greater team, because if I had to choose, somebody that needed that little confidence boost out of who we've been playing recently, it would have been him. I will say the players I've already mentioned, like, Adedekin, he's definitely going to be wearing out your right back. I can guarantee that. Him and Sargent, they like to do a 1-2 punch with their runs, and they do a lot of overlaps, underlaps, whatever you want. They're bringing it, and I think a lot of times that tends to throw teams off. And then next thing you know, you've got Joe Hafferty sneaking up, or then all of a sudden here's a Jago coming out of nowhere, and nobody was tracking him because everybody was so concerned about what's going on the wings. So I think that you guys are likely to see some high intensity soccer from us. So if you guys can weather the storm through that, then you'll be fine. But I think that that's what we'll probably end up rolling out with. So I would imagine it'll be an exciting game no matter what.
All right. And then real quickly, I did highlight my first question was, what's it like being in the USL? In the championship, sorry. Give me a quick letter grade on your guys' performance on the year so far.
Ooh, that one's a tough one. If you had asked me, I don't know, handful of matches ago, it would have been pretty low. I would have been floating around like a D- or something. I think currently, if I have all things considered, including kind of like the blunder in Las Vegas and a couple of like more recent ones where I'm like, that could have been a little bit cleaner, I'd say that we're sitting firmly at like a B+ for me. I think that if we kind of cleaned a couple things up and everybody was really healthy, I'd feel comfortable giving it like an A- at this moment. But I think all things considered, B+ feels good for me.
All right. I feel like if you were to ask us the same question a couple weeks ago, we would have been a little bit more optimistic than we currently are.
Yeah.
Back to you,
it's
Ray.
funny how those winds change.
Tyler, before we let you go, I just want to offer you this opportunity. A couple things really quick. spotlight or highlight one place, like, or one thing people should do if they make the trip out to Lexington for any soccer match, whether it's from Orange County or from any other team. Where should they go? Where should it could be a restaurant, it could be an activity, it could be something. What should they go and see if they only have a short bit of time in Lexington?
Ooh, okay, short bit of time. That's tough. Because I was gonna say, like, everybody always enjoys doing the Bourbon Trail, which is kind of Lexington adjacent. It just kind of floats around us basically and runs through. So that one's really awesome. Even if you just kind of want to like explore the history of it. If you're pressed for time, you're talking restaurants, Carson's, you can't beat it. It's awesome. Jack Brown's is kind of a cool little hole in the wall that happens to host our watch parties, but they have amazing food and service. The horse park is a win. We actually just opened a brand new park downtown called Gatton Park. It is phenomenal. I mean, we're talking 2 weeks ago it opened, and it's massive. It's got all kinds of cool stuff. So if you're like an outdoorsy person, definitely hit those things up. That's my suggestion anyway.
There we go, Tyler. And last thing, plug away. Let our listeners know if they want to hear more from you, learn more about Lexington SC or anything else. Where do they go? How do they hear more from you?
Yeah, we're everywhere. We're on all the platforms. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify, Apple. We're on all the socials at Crane Kicks Lex. So it's nice and easy to find us. There's no deviation, no matter where you go. It's all the same. That's one of the beauties of choosing a weird name. It's not taken by anybody. So we love to interact with people, fans from other clubs or fans from Lexington. Likewise, it's all fun.
Well, Tyler, I know it's late for you while we're doing this show, so I appreciate you taking some time, staying up late to speak with us and educating us. And best of luck to your show. Best of luck to Lexington, except for this coming Friday. Hopefully they stumble, they fall, and Orange County comes away with 3 points. But other than that, best of luck to y'all, and thank you so much for taking some time to speak with us.
Yeah, same to you guys. I really appreciate you all having me on.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Tyler from Crane Kicks Lex. Yes, a very unique name. It's pretty cool when you can come up with a creative name for a show, a podcast, whatever it is. Dylan says no. He wants it to be simple and sweet. That's why he's a fan of Orange County Soccer Club, because it's very cookie cutter, very straight to the point, right, Dylan?
Has anything ever been straight to the point? No.
I don't know.
Definitely not.
All right. So we talked about the upcoming match, but we still have to talk about this previous match, which we're going to do right here. Before we do so, though, if you like what you heard from Tyler, and you like what you're hearing from us, make sure you go ahead and like this show and like anything that we post anywhere we do, listen, share, all that great stuff on social medias, podcast, YouTube, all that great stuff. Please do so. It gives us a lot of encouragement to continue doing this. Let's talk about the match this past weekend. I'm going to get straight to the big thing that everyone was talking about in this match. Then we'll get to the tactics. The injury to Colin Shutler looks like, from what we could tell, concussion protocol when he got shoved from behind, fell forward, and looks like probably because they're on that fake grass stuff, probably isn't the softest surface. And when you hit your head on that, it probably doesn't feel good, probably hurts. Luckily, from what I've heard and I've seen, is Colin's good, just recovering, and hopefully we see him back sooner or later. I'm going to get to my biggest gripe on this, is there were a lot of fans that were basically just saying, who cares, it's his fault, he shouldn't flop, so that he gets what he gets, right? I saw that on some of those social media posts. I'm not happy about that. Obviously, when a player gets hurt, and we've discussed injuries in the past, we don't want to see it, whether it's our player or the other team's player. We don't want to see players get hurt. You don't know the situation in something like that. When you get shoved from behind when you're not expecting it, it can cause a whole bunch of weird reactions for your body, including whiplash, losing balance, falling forward. Who knows what happened in the moment? The biggest thing to know is he was hurt. They had to be stretchered off. Seems like he's doing okay. Hopefully we see him again soon. Don't need to get into the semantics of it's a flop. You got to learn how to flop or you're going to get hurt like that. My biggest gripe on it is no call at all, either way, because we all saw Colin shove the player with the ball in hand and then kick the ball and then get shoved from behind. I was surprised that there was no call whatsoever, and obviously no surprised that there was no brandishing of a card. I'm going to go to you first, Dylan, because I just feel like going to you first. your thoughts on all of this. Should go for it.
Well, I'll start by saying I don't love that Colin Shutler's ended up with yet another concussion while playing for Orange County Soccer Club. I think this is at least the third one. I feel like he misses a week every single year. But, super cool situation. What do you want me to say to this one? Like, I'm not a keyboard warrior from suburban Michigan, so I'm not going to say like, oh, he deserved it, and he should learn to flop. Like, I think we've talked before in this podcast about having a duty of care to your fellow professional. We've talked about how playing on turf is dumb, and how many of those things really matter in this situation. I don't know. I'm glad that he's okay, which is the main thing. Completely avoidable.
Yes.
Kind of surprised that hands weren't thrown. Again, Colin seems like he's okay. Probably going to miss a little bit of time. I'm glad it's just that and not something more serious, because watching someone get stretched off a pitch is never a good start to anything, or end, as it were.
100%, Dylan, 100%. And I want to be fair. It wasn't a majority of fans. There were a lot of fans that commented that they were at the match. They were concerned. They're glad to hear that he's responsive and all that stuff. And they weren't calling out the flopping and stuff like that. But again, there were a few bad apples that were calling it out, and that's just very disrespectful. And that's why I was very upset about it. Brad, do you have anything to say on this, or do we want to just, I'll give you the floor.
I agree with most of the points made. Definitely should have been a card of some sort. Unfortunate that it wasn't. Very much disagree, and I think we keep saying protect the players, so I'm very surprised to see when the players aren't protected in this case here.
Yeah, and I guess the thing that frustrated me is it wasn't like Colin kicks the ball and 5 seconds later he's shoved from behind and this happens, thus no one's watching the play. It was literally a second after he releases the ball, he gets shoved from behind. And if you watch the replay, his head does sort of whip back a little bit. So if anyone's had whiplash in any moment, in an instance, in a car accident, in anything, it doesn't feel good. And you sort of lose your balance, you lose your composure, and you can't really control what happens with your body sometimes when that happens. That's all I'm going to say on it. I'm going to wrap it up there. I just want to tell those people that felt like in that moment, it's the messages, you shouldn't flop, or teach your players how to flop and they won't get hurt. That's not the message to go about this. It's a player. It's a person that had a serious injury that they're dealing with, a scary injury. Let's just all say it sucks. It happened. Hopefully he gets better, and you can debate on whether or not it should have been a card or something happened there, but let's not get into it's because of flopping. With that said, let's talk about this match. Again, not the most beautiful of matches. I think, Dylan, in the intro you mentioned it wasn't fun or exciting or whatever your words are. I can't remember. Frustrating, obviously. I feel like when I was last on the show, we were sort of getting excited about the defense finding their stride and learning how to limit goal opportunities, and thus it was keeping Orange County in matches and giving them opportunities to win. This was another match of multiple goals conceded. Obviously, there's injuries. There's players away on whatever camps for U.S. soccer. There are players that maybe just were given the night off. What can we say about this? Like, is there anything that y'all notice that you feel like needs to change? I'll go to you, Dylan, as far as the defense goes.
Oh, as far as the defense goes, yes. Big shout out to John Morrissey for actually covering our club. Probably go subscribe to Backyield if you're not already doing that. He mentioned Tinovich's performance and kind of highlighted that he was mostly what Detroit went after. And it worked well, obviously. Steered sheer of steered clear, of putting all the blame onto Vinovich, and kind of said, hey, he's been there constantly this season since he signed on that 25-day contract. Yes. He referred to him as like a replacement level innings eater. So I'm going to pull my umpiring whatever stuff on and pull a Larry here and say, like, that's all fine and good when you're like Steven Strasburg in 2019, or for a more recent, Brent Honeywell in 2024. There you go. There's a deep cut for everybody. Where you just eat innings when the game's over. Like, there's not really a role for that in soccer. So, yeah. He's had a rough couple weeks. I know the own goal was more unlucky than anything, but maybe it's time he takes a little bit of a break. Ray, I actually have a question for you. I'm sure you'd love to answer it. Maybe Tyson Espy gets a chance? What do you think there?
Ooh, look at you coming with questions. Yeah, I wasn't ready for that. Really quick before I get to your question, Dylan, I do want to say, I don't remember if you were on there when we were talking about this pre-show, but I feel like Vuk is a true number 2 for your center back. Like, he's not someone you want to rely on as your first, your number 1 center back, which obviously with Brewitt out, he's in that role. I think when he's put in that role, especially with a young back line, like we see with, we all forget Ashton Miles is still a very young player when it comes to his age and experience. You got someone like Ciota that's on the outside. That's a young player. So I think when forced to be put in that role of the number 1 center back, it's tough, and that's where we're seeing the exposure of maybe some poor defending there. As far as Espy, hey, I didn't know this when the signing was made, but I was told about this from the head of coaching at Laguna United, but he actually got his start with Laguna United before moving on to the LAFC Academy and that aspect of things. So he played early on in his youth career at Laguna United. He was very excited about the potential that you see there and thinks that this player is going to be a great player. Is it something that you put him in this situation? I think if you have Tom Brewitt as the partner on defense, maybe I would say, yeah, let's roll with it. Let's give it a chance. But I think you put a young player like that with lack of really solid veteran leadership in the back line, I think that's not a recipe for success. So as much as I'd love to see the youngster get the opportunities, I want to see it in the right moment. I want to see him get the opportunities when there's a veteran, solid, knows how to back up an inexperienced player type person out there. And unfortunately, I haven't seen that with Vuk this season. And I don't want to potentially take away some confidence from a young player. So as much as I want to say, yes, I want to see him out there, I want to see him out there in the right moment on there. So hopefully that answers your question, Dylan.
That was wonderful. That was a handful of minutes of answering my question, which I appreciate, and actually going into depth there. Ray, you're alive and well, and you're back. You're picking up right where you left off in terms of form. Brad, I'll ask you a question. We're doing this weird hybrid nonsense right now. I kind of love it. Orange County had 8 shots, I believe, in this match, but just 1 goal, and I believe XG was they managed about 2.5 XG in this match. So was this a Orange County couldn't defend situation, or should Orange County have put this match to bed long before it got out of hand?
I think there's a lot of mistakes that are getting made defensively that are really getting showcased across the whole board. Like you had mentioned earlier, Backheel did cover this, and they did say Vuk, for all the blessings that he has been as a player for the team, has also caused a lot of the headaches that the team is expecting as well. While I do agree, I think Vuk is a very good player. You can't forgive some of the mistakes made in the last couple of weeks. I think the failed clearance on what led to be the second goal this game has really, put the team in a detrimental spot. And then beyond that, I don't think it's just a him issue, but as a whole, the team is defensively missing something, and that something is very likely one Tom Brood, who has been missing the last couple of weeks because of injury.
And I'm going to just jump on and say this, right? We're all like sort of frustrated, and we're putting the blame on Vuk for, you know, some of these deficiencies on defense. Let's all remember he was signed on a 25-day sort of just minimal contract when he joined the team. Already the season had started, so you got to remember there's a reason why a player is not signed to a year-long contract at that point, and you're bringing someone on a 25-day contract. I guess surprised he over exceeded what you expected from him. That, thus the reason why that contract was extended for the year. Yeah, Dylan doesn't like what I'm saying there, but I don't care. It over exceeded. Yes. Come on, Dylan. Don't worry about it. This is Rayism here. But he did better than was expected. Got that year-long contract. But again, we gotta put it in perspective. He was not on a team at the beginning of the season for a year-long contract for a reason. There wasn't a team that really thought he was a key piece or someone that they could rely on. Especially, I mean, if you're a qualified starter, like this player's a starter, they're going to be on a contract at the beginning of the year. He wasn't. He was put on a 25-day contract with OC, comes in, does good, gets the year-long contract, but we still got to tailor our expectations to that. He was there and available for a reason. And so again, I get it. There's the deficiencies. There's reasons why they happen. And we can go into depth of, we were talking about this at the beginning of the season. We were scared about the lack of depth in defense, and we were scared of what this roster looked like defensively. Vuk has exceeded what was expected of him. He's done good. Yes, he's made mistakes, but we got to know there's a reason why he did that. He wasn't expected to be a full-time starter, at least for any other team in the league, or he would have been under contract. So I know I said that multiple times, but I just want to be reasonable on what we're thinking here. I get it. Yes, mistakes. It happens. But let's talk more about the reason why that is what it is. And it's because there's a lack of depth there in the defensive, especially in the center backs, for what we have, when really your one true starter that you know is a quality starter at this level in Tom Brewitt is not available. Then you're sort of mixing, matching, and Ashton Miles has proven he can start at this level, but when it's Ashton and Vuk back there, two relatively unexperienced players when it comes to this level of play, it's tough, and we're going to see the struggles there. Hopefully Brewitt's back sooner rather than later. But yeah, so I just wanted to mention that, like, we can't forget where Vuk came from.
Wisconsin.
I don't have anything to back up my original argument. I mean, I agree with you, Ray, completely. Vuk is he's played a lot of minutes for the team ever since he came on. Hasn't missed any time. He's done exactly what was asked of him, and we all recognize it's not on him to carry the entire back line. And a couple of mistakes a player does not make, but a couple of mistakes a player has made this year.
I get it. It's just, I guess it sucks because we're all hoping for something good, and the defense was looking good, and then we get injuries, and it makes it hard. But it's, I'm going to go back to basketball was my first love when it came to doing this type of stuff and analyzing stuff. But it's you sign a player to a 10-day contract, a second 10-day contract, and now you have them for the rest of the year because they've done pretty good for you. It's still a player that was available for anyone else to sign at that time when you brought him in. They just, no one else thought they would be the key piece, but they did good enough to sign him for the rest of the year. You have him there. It is what it is. Anything offensively, Dylan, that you saw or that you liked from this match?
Well, I saw missed opportunities.
I said like.
Well,
you liked the missed opportunities.
Two different things. You said anything you saw and anything you liked.
Okay, sorry.
I liked that we scored at least one goal to give me the thought that we were going to kind of get back into things. Producer Andy had texted me. I had to watch this one after the fact because, surprise, surprise, I was working. I said, no spoilers, please. And 15 minutes into the match, had my thoughts already. So I'm disappointed that we didn't get something from this result. But, hey, shout out to Alex Villanueva. He scored. Just would have preferred that had happened 3 years ago. It's okay. It's like I said at the beginning of the show, it's still September. If this was the way that we bowed out of the playoffs, for example, I would be much, much, much angrier, and rightfully so. Instead, hopefully a little blip, and we can right the ship. But I think it's fair to say at this point, despite my unbridled, chaotic optimism over the last few weeks, we probably will lose again, and Orange County is actually not in very good form right now. So we need to figure it out, kind of solidify things, and head into the playoffs in much better form than this.
Now, the one thing I wish we could talk about on this match, but obviously with Dylan and Brad not local at the moment, they can't really relate to this, but it was fun watching this match on KCAL9. I know the team has had a few matches on KCAL9, and it's not that like 9.1 or 9.2. It's actually legit KCAL9, which is cool to see. I know producer Andy was excited, or he tweeted or did something on social media saying how exciting it was to hear, you're watching it on KCAL9, which was awesome to see. From the perspective that KCAL9 is known for local sports. Obviously, it's not as much these days when you have all these like specialized sports networks. Each team's creating their own sports network to try and showcase stuff. But back in the days, KCAL9 was one of the channels. It was literally Channel 9 or Channel 5 that you went to watch sports for most of it here in the LA area. So it was cool to see that. My one concern is I feel like every time Orange County is playing on KCAL9, it's not a good result for Orange County. So thus, it sucks that we're not putting our best foot forward when it's available to more people in the area. Because obviously you want to draw people in, and how do you do that in Southern California? Unfortunately, we're banned. We're fair weather fans for the most part here in Orange County. Yes, you can hear my son agrees with this comment, right? So that was the one.
He's joining the show too now? Is he the special guest for tonight? So. What is this?
He's the sound effects in the background. But it was cool to see that. I love seeing that. I'm hoping for more. And it's awesome because most people in the area have access to Channel 9, whether it's through their cable subscription, their streaming TV service that they have, or if they're, people that still have antennas on their house and can get the free feeds of TV, they have it that way, which is cool to see. But it was awesome to hear. It was awesome to see. I love it. And I believe producer Andy's going to jump on. He's someone that can relate to this because he actually is local. Producer Andy, jump on.
Yeah, I am local and an old guy. If you're following on Instagram, you've seen my face, so you can tell I'm an old guy. And hearing Mike Watts say live on KCAL was crazy because, like Ray said, like we used to turn on KCAL and like Jim Hill was calling sport. And just to set the stage here, Jim Hill's been calling sports in Southern California since like the 80s at least. I'd have to look at his resume or whatever to see how long he's been doing it. But he's been calling sports on local TV in Southern California forever. So to hear Mike Watts say Orange County SC live on KCAL was just a little mind-blowing. The second piece of that is I think I'm going to have to put together a instructional video on teaching people how to get their televisions to get over the air television signal, because every TV can do it. It's required to do it by law. Having the equipment is another story, but I mean, I legitimately had people in the supporters group say, I didn't even know that was still a thing. Like, yeah, it's still a thing. Over the air exists. It's free. It's there. Dylan, did you have a question?
I had I pulled up the data for you. Jim Hill has been doing
70s
sports anchoring since 1976. So next year will be his 50th year.
Yeah, the guy's a vampire. I don't think he ages at all.
He looks the same. He looks the same as I've ever seen him. I remember, but yeah, CBS Channel 2 here in LA since 76, like Dylan. So I was pulling with that information as well,
Ray,
Dylan.
Don't say here in LA.
Well, it's an LA radio. It's an LA TV station. So, I mean, we've talked about this before. We know the nuances of TV and media. It's LA media, regardless if we're here in Orange County, unfortunately.
Hey,
There was one bit of time that there was the OC Sports Network that was run by the Orange County Register on cable TV. It was like Channel 56 or something. That went bye-bye 20 years ago or something. So there's no legit Orange County thing. Yeah, I'll say the Southland. I like that, producer Annie on the chats with the Southland.
Would we like to do maybe some score predictions?
Yeah, we do need to do that. But really quick before we do that, let's congratulate the newest signing to a professional contract with Orange County. Who wants to take the lead? Go for it, Dylan.
Nicola Chota, congratulations. I mean, it's not like it's not deserved from the last 6 weeks that we've seen out of him. Played out of position on Saturday. Hopefully, with everyone kind of coming back, we see him back over on the right-hand side of things. But yeah, from a couple minutes in Monterey months ago to, how do I put it nicely? Displacing Koa Santos. He couldn't get a look in, and deservedly so, because Chota's been on it and is in great form, and just kind of proof that you can, in fact, play the kids. You can trust them to do good things. They will do good things. And, he's ours for now. Let's see what the next step is for him.
So congratulations to Ray Liotta for joining the team officially.
Yes, posthumously, of course.
If you wanna know where that came from, go back to past episodes. You can find those on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or anywhere else to listen to past episodes, and you'll know why I called him Ray Liotta for that reference. Yeah, score predictions really quick, Dylan, because we're running short on time. Score predictions for this upcoming match, Friday at our time here in the Pacific, 3:00. So I know many of you are going to be like working with your phone on, streaming this match to see what's going on the Golazo Network. Dylan, your prediction for this match against Lexington, in Lexington, a tough place to travel to.
Let me just burn more seconds off the show by saying, I like that you think I have enough money to afford the Golazo Network, would want to give CBS my money, and also would have enough money to pay for unlimited data.
Wait.
I'm going to say 2-1 Lexington.
I'm cutting you out, Dylan. Golazo Network is free.
I can handle this one. It's free $99.
There's a cost to everything. Sorry, guys. I'm a Luddite over here. Back in my day, we just had ESPN Plus for everything. It wasn't even bundled.
Now you got to get ESPN Ultimate. Brad, what's your prediction for this match? Are you going to watch it for free, or are you like Dylan? You're going to like pay some Russian bot $10 to be able to watch this match?
I will watch it for free. I will probably leave work at like 4 on the dot to accommodate for watching this game. I mean, let's be honest, Ray. A game that starts at 4 in American sports really starts at like 10 after.
Are you in Mountain Time?
3:06.
Are you Mountain Time, Brad?
The game is at 4 times.
It's at 3:00. It's 6:00 Eastern Time, which, if we do the math, that's 3:00 Pacific. So, Brad, you're going to miss the whole first half of this match and the halftime commentary.
No, I am literally looking at FOTMob right now. It says 4:00. I swear, I am not the one who's normally defensive, but I feel like I'm getting gaslit.
Could have been completely avoided if the USL had just used their brains for 5 seconds instead of hanging out a block south of the office and put Lexington in the east where they'd be gone. How somehow this discourse has led to someone commenting about their favorite pirate stream site with letter salad of a handle. So we did it, everybody. We're
all right.
We're a real soccer podcast now.
I guess it's 4:00 Pacific time. I don't know where I'm getting. I don't know. I got 3:00 somewhere, so we got to confirm this. We'll follow us on our social medias. This is a reason why you should follow us on our social medias, because we will confirm this for you and let you know for sure, so you do not miss the kickoff. But I was reading elsewhere that it was 3:00, but producer Annie found 4:00. We'll figure this out.
Watch the game.
We got like 20 seconds to get score
prediction, Brad.
My prediction is if he plays, Stephen Kelly, red cards 1, Orange County 1, Lexington 1. All right. Is parity in the world.
My score prediction is going to be 3-1 Orange County. We're going to come away with a surprise on the Golazo Network for everyone that's watching nationwide. So that's what's going to happen there. With that said, hey, I know Brad will be happy with this. I'm going to just skip past the what did we learn. And do you have any last thing you want to say, Brad, before we wrap up this episode?
Welcome back, Ray. I didn't get a cake, but I have a shot of Malort that I can do off air.
I want you to do a triple. Dylan, anything you want to share?
I just want to. Oh man, Brad just took a big boy swig of some Malort there. Just want to say I'm not a Russian bot, and Josh Wright says 1-0 Orange County. Josh, I hope you're right, bud. I would love a clean sheet. It's been a little bit. Yeah, I'm not a Russian bot. Thank you, everybody.
I didn't say you were. I just said you think that you have to pay for Golasso. So you're obviously talking to Russian bots to make that subscription. With that said, I want to thank everyone for this, what we've done on this episode, including my co-hosts Brad and Dylan, producer Andy, and our guest Tyler from the Lexington podcast. I'm sorry, I already forgot the name off the top of my head, and I'm not looking it up. Dylan, you know it, right? Go for it, Dylan. What is it?
Crane Kicks Lex.
There we go. He looked it up. That's why it took him so long to say something.
I also want to thank my friend. I already knew.
I want to thank everyone that paid attention in the chats and the comments and participated with us. Thank you for doing so. With that said, I'm glad to be back. I hope you had fun. We'll keep this going. This is the Orange and Black Soccer Cast, and we are